Peter from A&P-Reacts. I'm here today with the boys from Siamese to talk about the new record, Home, out December 10th on Long Branch Records. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Good, thank you. We're excited.
I'm sure you are. I mean, it's just around the corner.
Wow.
So let's start from the beginning. How long have you guys been working on this album?
I think we started 2 years ago writing. We have 104 sessions or like sketches. We started 2 years ago, and the first song was Home, our first new single, like the first single from the new album. And that was number 20 in that series of sessions. And then so that was 2 years ago we started, but I think we like went all in, like full time on the album in start of 2021.
You guys released some songs way long ago. So was that a process that as you guys were putting some songs together, you start to release some tracks, or when you start to release those tracks, you already kind of had an idea of where the album was heading?
The other way around. Actually, what happened was we were kind of taken aback by the success of Home, the first single we dropped, and then Came Forth to Love, especially on streaming sites. Me and Andreas were like in the midst of probably giving up the album concept the album as a concept as a whole. We learned quickly as we released Home and Came Forth to Love that so many people came on board on these two songs demanding an album that we quickly changed around and said like, okay, we need to change our focus and write some songs that will go into an album. So to tell you the truth, we never wanted to release an album, but
it definitely wasn't the plan. But
we're also pleasers. We're not gonna lie, we are pleasers, and we want to. If somebody tells us, a lot of people tell us do this, then.
Now people kept saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the album," and that's
and there's no album.
But that's such a positive thing. But it's like, okay, I guess we have to do an album then.
It came with loyalty. It just turns out that like we really matter to some people now. It was like they really take us very seriously. We should take that serious, and here we are.
Wow, really interesting. So considering that was your starting point, not having a record, but then being guilted into making a record, did that create a little bit of a problem, considering you already had some songs? Did you feel like you had to follow the path of those songs, or did you feel like you had a little bit of freedom to perhaps go in different directions?
I would say thank God that the first song we released and made is, by my opinion, still the strongest song on the album. So it was quite easy to follow that path. It would have been very difficult for us if we've made like the thing we did in 2019 with the record before, which is way softer than the things we do now. If we've done something like that and then had to do it again, we would actually we would be struggling, because we were both kind of interested in doing something heavier and going back to our roots. And so Home was just such a perfect denominator for what was about to happen, and so it was easy, thank God.
It was just a matter, like we knew that after 5 albums we had to do something that was kind of like next level for us, and it just took a long time to kind of find something that we thought it's still us, but it's like a new version of Siamese. And yeah, that just took a long time, but with the song Home we all felt, okay, this is it.
And as Andreas just said, it took 20 songs. We did like 20 sketches, almost done songs before we hit Home. So we've been really trying to hit something new and
actually, yeah, just getting out of our own comfort zone, because we were in a like, okay, this is how we write a Siamese song. But we kind of had to throw that away a little bit, and really try to challenge ourselves in every aspect of the songwriting. And that just takes time.
But still, huge recommendation. It changed a lot of things for us.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys here. I mean, I don't know if you saw my review or not. So I
did.
have quite a few things to ask you guys, because going in, I knew the band from before, from the previous record. And in that sound is not necessarily a sound that really represents or hits home with me. So I went into this album expecting a little bit of the same and thinking to myself, I'm going to hate this record. So let me prepare to write a really bad review for it, or to record a really bad review for it. And then I started listening to the album and I'm like, I want to hate it because I want to stay consistent to what I thought before. But I'm like, exactly. I can't hate it because I fucking love this record. I can't stop talking about it. I forced the album down his throat because I'm like, you have to listen to this record. So it's a really interesting aspect for me. Did you think by changing the sound, by going into this different direction, that you're going to bring in a whole new slew of fans into the band?
Probably. And we're probably going to shed a group of people too.
Yeah.
But that's usually what happens with bands or artists or whatever. I think we've done, every time we've made an album the last 11 years, I think we've done what we wanted to do. And if nothing has changed, like we still do what we want to do. And we don't think about like, what would people like to hear? We're just in a different place now. The last album is like, was it 9, 10 songs?
Yeah, 9 songs.
9 songs, but it felt like 9. Let's just call it singles. It's just 9 songs, separate songs. And I think the mission with this new album was to just make it more dynamic, more like a journey, more like a sonic universe that would more fit an album format. And I think we did that.
And also, this is a very funny thing because Andreas is the guitarist and songwriter, and I'm the vocalist and the songwriter. And you would think that normally he would be like the guy who does the heavy parts and does all the, gets all the ideas. And I would be like the guy with the lyrics and all the melodies. But in this album, a lot of the time it was different because me and Andreas do professionally, we do make music for a living. And Andreas, he's been excelling in the pop world doing pop productions, and I've been excelling in the metal world doing like metal stuff. And what happened was it was very natural for us to go here now because I was just getting more and more into metal and he was getting more and more into pop, and we just fused those two things. And it would have been the other way around normally, but we just met there, and that was we found the common ground to create what we did.
100%. I have a hard time if I'm trying to explain to somebody the sound on this record. It's like there's a little bit of rock, there's a little bit of metalcore, and then there's a lot of in between that I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. Like maybe like pop rock, some electronic sound. Like, but it's so good. It's so well blended together that creates a very different, a very interesting sound. And then your vocals, obviously, like, I mean, you're the absolute cherry on top.
Thank you. Thank you for getting it. It's great to hear that somebody's like actually getting what we're trying to do.
My next question for you is, listening to the album, I felt like I was listening to a little bit of a metalcore version of Taylor Swift, because it feels like somebody has gone through a breakup and then they wrote a whole album kind of geared up towards dealing with some of those internal issues, those, maybe a little bit of self-confidence, losing someone. Is there a little bit of that on this record?
I guess I could actually go further and say it has a lot to do with the concept of calling the album home, because we wanted to tell stories we needed to tell. Also, because like these 2 years been like therapy for us, being locked down 2 years. So first of all, we wanted to tell some real life situations that we hope that people can relate to, because I think even though they're personal, we're kind of trying to keep it in a way that it doesn't get too personal, so that people could take something away from it and take that with them. But we wanted to do it confined in home. So we wanted to do like a real life situation that would happen home. Also the good things and the bad things. So the good things would be like on the single and the song Home, where we just write how much we love Copenhagen in Denmark.
There's a love song to our home too.
Yeah, and then we would have like Rather Be Lonely, which is a very personal and straight up breakup song, and we wanted to have all those things in our album because life is not so one dimensional, and you know, so that was important for us.
It's basically a lot of thoughts and situations that we've experienced or thoughts we've had the last 2 years when you're forced to stay at home. And yeah, one thing was like the song "Home" was the song that started the whole new sound. So it made sense to let's just make that the title track. But yeah, as Mirza said, the whole album is like centered around home, or it has some reference to home, or home, and the whole lockdown time. So yeah.
Considering the process that you guys took with this album and the span that it took from the time that the first singles hit out and then the whole idea about, okay, now we have to do an album. When it came down to putting the record together and creating the track listing for this album, was it difficult for you guys to put it together in order to create that flow, that journey that you mentioned before? And is there a lot of thought process going into the track listing at all from you guys?
To be honest, we sat with a lot of songs. As Andreas mentioned, we wrote 104 songs, and at the end, about in June this year, we had 15 songs, and there was not a lot of thought about how do they fit together as a whole. It was more like, what are the songs that have that certain something, like which songs have that edge that would make people go, oh, this is interesting. Like you said, like we would like to fuck with people a little bit. Like if you expect us to be a pop rock band or even a metalcore band, and then we go and do something totally unexpected. I think that was what we were going for. Besides, of course, having very good songs, like we really pride ourselves with the choruses. We want to do very, very catchy and good choruses. That's like the pride in the craftsmanship of creating music. But other than that, we were just thinking about what is the sickest sounding songs we have right now, and we also had a deadline. So it was like, okay, here at this time, we should know, and we would know that these are the songs we have to pick up.
Do you guys? Sorry, go ahead.
I think yeah, the songs kind of it was a no-brainer, like what songs to put on the record. I think there was 2 songs that were supposed to be like bonus tracks, but it just sounded like the last album. So it's just fun with this album. We were actually able to, we allowed ourselves to be more like, okay, let's have a 2-minute outro with just violins or whatever. And yeah, the track listing, I think like the order of the whole album, like what songs comes next, that was like, it was 2 hours.
When you guys were working on this album, you said that there was some songs that were left out, not because they weren't good, it's just that they didn't have the sound that matched everything else that was happening for this record. But now, is there any song that made the cut that was a little bit extra difficult or challenging for you guys?
There was several.
We were thinking about an unreleased song which will be released as a focus track, and we later on figured out that a lot of people really like this track. But we had thought about a song called "Erase My Mind," which is on the very rockier pop rock kind of sound. And we were also, I think we were discussing "Enough Ain't Enough," which we released as a single. Yeah, and those were the 2 for me, at least, because I only wanted a 10 song album, and it's a 12 song album. Those were the kind of thoughts we had, but I'm very, very happy we didn't do it, especially for the "Erase My Mind" song, because it's turned out to be a lot of people's favorites, like in our circle of trust who've heard the songs. and they're like going crazy about that one, and I'm like, I don't get it, but yeah, let's go.
You said it earlier. You guys are pleasers, so
Yeah,
I really like that song, but I think it's like I think it's just way more dynamic, and I think through all the albums and all the years of Siamese, we've tried different. Okay, now we learn something new, and we kind of overused that. We learned how to like do R&B or something, and then we like overuse that. And then we finally managed to do something like everything in some kind of balance. So it's like not too much a certain thing. But yeah, there's always gonna be some tracks that you're not as into as the other ones, or the other way around. But yeah,
we're not going to be that band who says, no, I can't choose. I can't choose. I can choose. I have favorites. I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care.
But it's just like they do a different thing like each song. So
did Mirza, for you the sound on
With Danish beer, it's gonna take one.
that's my favorite.
It is okay, cool,
Yeah.
man. It's like it's 10 in the evening here, so it's okay, and it's
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's fine.
even if it wasn't, it's always 10 in the evening somewhere around the world.
Exactly.
So you're totally fine. For
Yeah.
Mirza, for you on this record, with a change in sound, did this open certain doors vocally that you were really hoping that would open, that you wanted to walk through?
Sorry, you said vocally or how?
Vocally, for you, like the sound, the change in the sound coming into this album, did this allow you to go a little bit in a different path, perhaps?
It opened a huge door of fuck yous, if I can swear in your program, because Andreas set out very early to just push me as hard as he possibly could. So some of the things that I do on this record I've never tried before, and it's gonna be a challenge that I'm very much up to. But it was tough, man. It was like nothing I've ever tried before, and I'm pushing my voice places I've never been before. And I should have done this when I was 21, and I'm doing it now. But hey, maybe I'll surprise everyone and just nail it every time. Who knows?
No, I think you absolutely nailed it on this record. I mean, one of the reasons why the album, in my opinion, is as strong as it is not just the sound that it carries. I really feel like you have the perfect voice for the sound that you guys created, because the sound is great, but without that voice that really brings that music to life and brings those lyrics to life, you need a good storyteller, and you are that storyteller on this record in terms of how your voice comes across. So if Andreas pushed you, I'm glad he did, because it was perfect.
Thank you, man.
yeah, us too.
Thank you.
It was just like we found out. I think it's actually something that a lot of bands, when they write a song, usually we some kind of like in some way still do that. But if we write a song, we're like, okay, can we do that live, or how are we gonna do that live? It's just something sounds really good recorded, and we tended to put the songs in a key where it just hurt a little bit in Mirza's voice, and it just sounds really cool with Mirza, at least.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's just like I think, and it's actually okay to play it like one note lower live if that's what it takes. But it's just you have to convey a certain emotion on a recording, and I think sometimes it helps if there's a little bit of a struggle in there. But yeah, I'm really proud of what we got out of Mirza on this album. And that's definitely one of the big things on this album. I think is his vocal performance. So.
And I agree 100%. And we started off the conversation talking about how this album perhaps going to open the doors for a lot of new fans. And then you mentioned, well, there's also going to be some old fans that perhaps are not going to be as happy. So how do you see yourselves going forward? I know it's really hard considering all the different steps you guys taken with every single album, but is there enough on this album that has piqued your interest that that you kind of want to take a few more steps down this path?
We haven't talked about it, but personally, I think it would be nice to just go even harder next time or whatever, because I'm kind of getting into that screaming thing again. I haven't screamed on a record for 10 years, and I do this like now, and live it's a lot of fun. So we'll see, hopefully, but I don't see us right now going in a lighter direction, simply because the times are not up for it. I mean, the more underground right now, for me at least, the better, because I don't want to be up in that middle sky of rock, because there's nowhere to go. Fuck, man, nobody listens to rock anymore. It's not that it's dead, but it's just not a lot of people listen to it anymore, and I just have to admit to myself, I don't even listen to it anymore. So why would I do a rock record?
I think we've tried that. We've done it, being like, yeah, just a hard rock or R&B, like something like in the gray area. I think it's more fun for us doing like harder stuff, and yeah, it just seems very natural, and it's way more fun to play live. And
People are more loyal also.
Yeah.
That's very important. Like, people are so loyal when you give them something that they can't get everywhere else, and I think we're gonna keep doing that.
it's just, I think that is like, anyways, it's just it's what we listen to anyways. So it's just really hard stuff, and we're always gonna write like the big chorus melodies and stuff. So that's always gonna be a part of our music, but it's really fun to just how hard and weird, or what experiments can we put into the songs.
I think the beauty about this album, at least for me, the moment I stopped trying to put it in a box or in a genre, and I said, okay, forget about genres, forget about boxes, listen to this record. How does it sound? How do the vocals come across? The moment you do that, and you are able to enjoy the record for what it is, musically and vocally, the album is phenomenal. Don't try to create a genre for it. Just fucking enjoy it. And that to me was the moment the light bulb went on, and I was like, fuck, this record is outstanding. Because it's that mixture of catchiness, hookiness, and the choruses with great vocals, impactful, meaningful lyrics that you can gravitate to, and then an incredible soundscape that you guys created. Heavy at times, super melodic at others, this balance between the two, the electronic elements, the violin. I mean, you guys are throwing everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what maybe entices you is the craftsmanship of music writing, and I think every band that does that, like, has that focus in the musicianship and the craftsmanship of writing a song, will hopefully prevail, and others will do more generic stuff, and they will also prevail, because you never know what people want, and we've chosen this path, and hopefully it will get us somewhere.
One last question for you guys. Considering the impact that this album has had for you, and all the work and the long, arduous road that you've taken to this point, is there lessons that you are going to take from this album forward? Maybe not as a band, but even as individuals?
Good question.
Yeah, very good question.
You want to go first? Or you want to buy some time?
Lessons learned from this album. We did an interview just before where we talked about writing stuff down. Actually helps a lot. Like, if you're stressed out, or you have a lot of stuff on your mind or stuff to do, it's a really good thing to just write it down, because then you park it here on paper or on your phone, and it's like out of your head. And the same thing with, like, we talk about, like, it's been quite therapeutic to write all the lyrics together on this album. And definitely, I think I learned something from that. Writing stuff down is actually quite helpful, even if it's like some shit you're dealing with at the time.
For me, I definitely think I gained some confidence in the project as a whole. I learned, I got some stories on tour. We were able to tour, amazingly enough, in the UK, and I just figured out that all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, we've been working hard for this, but I learned that this band matters to people in ways that I never thought about. Like, because we were always in Denmark, we were being seen as this band who brings the party, and we do that. We're very, very happy people on stage. But with this record, we learned, okay, some people tell us like that this is what's getting them through the day, and that is huge.
That's a way better answer. I'm gonna,
That gives the confidence to keep going.
He had time to think about it because he threw you under the bus. He
I
said,
bought time.
and he
yeah,
bought
but that's definitely yeah. We've just been on a 2-week tour in the UK, and that was definitely okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like talking to people before and after the shows, that was pretty overwhelming. Hearing people talk about what the songs mean to them, and I think it's a pretty new thing for us that people are that invested in the music. So that's pretty cool.
Well, guys, thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate it. Congratulations on this wonderful record. A dark horse for me, came out of nowhere, but it's going to be one of my favorite albums of 2021, hands down. Like, I just honestly, I can't stop playing it. I just freaking love it. So congratulations on the record. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you, and have a nice day.
You too. All the best. Take care, guys.
Bye, man.